Brandon, I'm not really thinking that's going to happen. I think AB has a lot of stuff to sort out before that can even be considered much of a possibility. I don't know. I'm not seeing the AB thing happening. Hey, Miguel. Yeah. Okay, so, I uploaded a video a few minutes ago. If you haven't seen it yet, you might want to go check it out before you join the stream full time. You got. Now, I will say this. If AB can still play at a high level, he would solve a lot of our problems. But, I don't know if it's realistic. Like, would the commissioner even let him play? I don't know where he stands legally right now. And honestly, the problems that AB would solve, Josh Gordon has the ability to solve as well. So, you know, of those two guys, whichever one is actually going to be able to play and allowed to play come 2020, I could get up for that. Miguel, if we need to create more cap space, there are ways to do it. We can cut KJ Wright. We can cut some of these interior offensive linemen we've signed. We can cut we can move Wilson's money around. We can move maybe some Bobby Wagner money around if we really need to. You know, maybe even a guy like Tyler Lockett could move some money around. There are ways to create cap for a pass rusher. Now, will we do those things? I don't know. But cap space is not an excuse. Oh, shit. That turn gets me every time, my guys. Well, cutting Luke Wilson is not going to save us hardly any money. Hollister, yeah. Like, I think what I would like to do, my personal dream would be cut KJ Wright, cut Hollister, and use that money to go get a pass rusher, or restructure some of Wilson's money. Either of those two things would be okay. I'm assuming that Wilson would be okay with moving money around if it meant bringing in another good player. I'm sure Wilson would take some restructuring on his deal if it meant getting more money later and getting a good player this season. Yeah, Brandon, there's nothing special about Jacob Hollister. He's very weak. There's a reason why he doesn't get yards after the catch. A lot of his catches last year were just because we needed somebody to throw the ball to. And I will say this, it's not a bad idea to have a guy like Hollister around because we have two tight ends on this team who are injury concerns. But we are giving Hollister too much money to just be, you know, insurance for injuries. I don't know why we gave Hollister all that money, like $3.25 million. To me, that was very odd. I thought Hollister was doing really good early in the season, but as the season wore on, I was less and less impressed with him in every game. Sam Dog. Yeah, Jason, I know he's just insurance, but I feel like you could have retained a guy like Hollister for maybe $1.5 million. I don't see why we had to give him nearly $3.5 million. Carlos Hyde, I kind of get why we needed to give him $4 million because he had a good season last year. But Hollister, I don't see it. Hey Emmett, how's it going? Good to see you. I mean, I am very frustrated that we have to give a guy like Carlos Hyde money, but as I've been thinking about it lately, I've realized kind of, we do actually have to give him money. We cannot go into 2020 with this many question marks at running back and feel comfortable about things. Like, I was reading some comments on field goals the other day, and a lot of people were saying, like, I'm expecting nothing from Penny this year. And as I think about it, that might be the right mentality to have. And it sucks, but it is what it is. Sam Dog, I bought the Lamborghini a couple days ago. No, yesterday. David, but he still has to count the $4 million against the cap, right? Like, he still has to count. Like, we still have to set aside enough cap room for him to be worth that $4 million, I think. Isn't that how it works? And that's the problem. If we end up having to pay him less later, that's great. But I'm thinking about the cap space right now. Get back here. I have more ponies than you, buddy. Yeah, Emmett, I don't understand the AB obsession. He hasn't played football in a year. You don't even know if he can get open anymore. I'm really concerned that this team thinks they're set at pass rush, at defensive end, and I don't think we are. I guess. The best thing I can say about this pass rush, it's a little like the '05 pass rush where we didn't have any one killer, but we had a lot of productive players. And by the end of the season, we had 50 sacks. But I don't know how viable something like that is. Hyde's good. He's good. It's just really kind of unfortunate that a bunch of stuff has happened this offseason. Brandon, I think Bruce Irvin's going to be alright, but I don't think he's a killer. Yeah, I don't especially with somebody like DJ Dallas. Like, I like DJ Dallas, but he's not going to really play this year, I don't think. It's not in the cards. He doesn't have enough experience playing running back in general. He's not going to get a good offseason. It's just not likely he contributes much this year. Now, I think Homer could contribute this year, but Homer is a third down back, in my opinion. God damn it! Oh my god, dude. I just blew this race. Are you kidding me, dude? I was trying to take that turn so carefully, and then I just misjudged it. Oh my god. No, there's no reason why Homer shouldn't see the field. Homer can be a third down back. Homer played last year. Like we know, we have a pretty good idea of what Travis Homer can do. And you know, it's not necessarily much, but he has a role to play. Guys, this is how shitty of a job we did this offseason, right? We did such a shitty job putting the team together this offseason. Our superstar quarterback now has to ask that we go get an idiot like AB. Because he wants somebody who can be a big-time impact player. Y'all can look at this however you want to, but that's how I'm looking at it. Wilson's looking at this offseason and being like, we didn't do nothing. Give me a stud. Even if that stud is a moron who has CTE coming out of his butt crack. This turn is awful. Ooh, see? It's just so hard to nail, even if you're going so carefully. Brandon, AB hasn't played football in a year. We don't know what he can do right now. All we have to go on is what he did 2 years ago. We don't know what he has left. No, AB is one of the greatest receivers in NFL history. AB is by far the greatest receiver in Steeler history. AB might be a top 5 receiver in the history of the league. Well, I mean, Emmett, we did get him Greg Olsen, and I think that's fine. But the offseason as a whole, like, where is the greatness on this team? Last year, we only had one player on the team who was actually great. So, my dumbass thought we would use this offseason to go get some guys who were great players. You know, if they were receivers, if they were pass rushers, whatever. And we haven't, like, I don't think anybody we've acquired this offseason, other than maybe Jerron Reed, has even the opportunity to be great. So I think Wilson is looking at that and he's like, okay, what can I do here to make the best of this? Yeah, I think the top 5 greatest receivers in NFL history are Rice, Moss, Terrell Owens, and then probably Calvin Johnson and Antonio Brown. Something like that. I don't know. Chris Carter's not top 5, I don't think. Larry Fitzgerald only made one All-Pro team. Larry Fitzgerald is a one-time All-Pro. Color me unimpressed. I think I might take Marvin Harrison over Larry Fitzgerald. like, I'm probably going to make a video about this in the near future, but somehow, someway, this team won 12 games last year, and we only had one player on the team who was genuinely great. Like, that is so hard to do. So my stupid ass thought we were going to go out and get some great players this offseason, and it didn't happen. So now we just have to hope that there are some guys in-house who are going to develop into great players, and then we have to hope that there are some guys on this team who can surprise us and become great players. No, Miguel. The Jets are going to ask for a ton to trade Jamal Adams. I think the Jets are stupid as hell for trying to trade Jamal Adams, by the way. The dude is incredible. And we already have the safeties of the future on this roster, and we've already given up capital to acquire them. So if we did trade for Jamal Adams, I'm going to have to, I'm going to have to get in the front office's face a little bit about, you just used a second-round pick on Marquise Blair. Are you telling me that Marquise Blair's already a bust? So that's another strike against the front office. Like, to me, if you trade for Jamal Adams, you're saying one of two things. Either trading for Diggs was a mistake, or drafting Blair was a mistake. And I'm getting really sick of the mistakes in this front office. So I'm going to be like, what's going on? God, I've been able to nail that corner perfectly like once, but it's so freaking hard. I hate this track so much because it screws you right at the end of the lap. Who is Joe F? Joe Flacco? K. Ruiz, you can always restructure to get money if you need to. It's that simple. Cap space is a joke in the NFL. God, this freaking jackass just eats a giant barrel of Nas for this final lap. Oh my God, dude, it's just... I kind of had to go for broke on that one. This track is some dog shit, man. I hate this track. I mean, I think that this move that we made was necessary. I think signing Carlos Hyde was kind of necessary, but it annoys the hell out of me that we have to do it because it's almost lose-lose. Like, if Carlos Hyde has a big impact on the team this year, that means Carson and Penny aren't doing much. And if he doesn't have a big impact on the team, then we're paying him a significant chunk of our cap to do nothing. When a random dude off the street would have sufficed. But I think you can trace a lot of this back to using a first-round pick on Rashad Penny in the first place like a moron. That draft pick still gets on my nerves, and I had so many people in my comments section on that video telling me, oh, he's a great player, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, who gives a crap if he's good? God, fuck that corner, man. I mean, if we signed AB, I would be very concerned, but I will admit his ceiling is tantalizing. You know, if AB can be even 70% of what he was a couple years ago, that makes our offense just incredible, man. And we would have to start throwing the ball 50 times a game to get the ball to these receivers. Like, how many players on the 2013 Seahawks do you guys think were great? I think it's like Marshawn Lynch, Max Unger, Sherman, Thomas, Chancellor, Wagner, and Bennett. I think those are probably the guys I would say are great. Were great on that team. And ever since then, it seems like we're slowly losing that greatness. And last year, we had one guy on the team who was actually great. Somehow that one great player was worth 12 wins and a trip to the divisional round. But I'm getting antsy. We're losing greatness, and we're not replacing it effectively. Emmett, I mean, I think he was first-team All-Pro that year, wasn't he? Unger made the Pro Bowl, and I think he was either first team or second team All-Pro in 2013. Fuck that corner. Yeah, at that point in time, a lot of people thought Max Unger was the best center in the league. I never had a problem with trading him at that point. Like, it was kind of clear that he wasn't going to play much longer because he had some sort of knee issue. He only made one Pro Bowl after we traded him, and I don't think we missed him that much. Popo, probably not. I like Trevor Lawrence, but you know, these guys are never sure things. And, in defense of the front office, every time it seems like we get a player that looks like he's developing greatness or he flashes greatness, something goes wrong. Like, I thought Jordan Hill looked great when he was playing in 2014. And then he got injured and we never saw him again. Thomas Rawls was flashing greatness in 2015, but it only lasted maybe about a season's worth of games and then it was done. Doug Baldwin became great for a couple years, but then his groin injuries basically ended his career. So we've had some great players pass through Seattle, but it never lasts long anymore, man. So I understand that stuff is not controllable. Emmett, I would expect that most teams that are trying to get Antonio Brown are bidding against themselves. Like, if we try to go get AB, we would be bidding against ourselves. So probably not very much at all. AB's just a dude who needs to prove he can play in the NFL without losing his mind. Like, if AB put himself out there and said, hey, somebody sign me, I can still play football, I don't think a bunch of teams would be lining up to get him. Why do I have so many trolls? Yes, Emmett, you weren't here yesterday, but yesterday's stream had a ton of trolls. Now I'm getting more trolls today. I'm not even to 1,000 subs. Why am I getting trolls? Like, I could understand one or two, but I'm getting a ton of trolls. I will say this, I'm pretty concerned about AB. If we do sign him, there would be a lot of ways I could go wrong. At least signing AB would be swinging for the fences. That would be the kind of move that we have not done this whole offseason. Just like, let's try to hit a home run, and that's all there is to it. Yeah, I know a lot of people on YouTube don't like me because I get negative about the team. Which I don't really care about that, that's fine. If people want to be cheerleaders, that's fine. Well, Ron, if this season goes wrong, then next offseason, I think that Pete Carroll will retire and it'll take care of itself. Like, we don't need to fire anybody, because if this season doesn't work out, I think Carroll's going to just ride into the sunset. And his yes men coaches are going to come with him. Robert, that was fake. A Packers fan made that rumor up to get clicks and to piss people off. That's fake. Alright, come on. Come on. No! No, you get back here. Oh my god. That should be a foul. Oh my god, this guy bumped me to win the race. Holy shit, I'm running him right off the road next time I try this. David M., I did not know that. That's interesting. Well, I don't care if he's doubtful for training camp because there aren't going to be training camps. You know, this off-season, I don't even know what we're going to have. They might throw together a couple preseason games to get teams warmed up, but I don't think there's going to be a training camp, really. So when I catch up near the end of this race, I am going to blast that jackass right into the dirt. Popo, not really. We did what we had to do. Sometimes you just have to move on. It is what it is. We got a Super Bowl out of it, guys. That's the ultimate goal in the NFL. Get a Super Bowl out of your windows. We did that. I know people wanted more. Everybody wants more, guys. Like the Eagles looked like they were going to be Super Bowl contenders for a long time. They've won one playoff game in the last 2 years, same as us. It is what it is, man. There are tons of teams that don't even get off the launching pad. Like, remember the Dream Team Eagles? They never even had a winning season. The Tony Romo Cowboys assembled some tremendous talent over the years. They never made the NFC title game. I could go on and on, guys. We climbed the mountain. That's what matters. Yeah. Have you guys ever seen the videos? They're on YouTube of Patriots fans destroying their television with an axe after Super Bowl 52 Super Bowl 52 because they were so pissed off that they didn't get a sixth one. Like, come on, guys. It doesn't matter how much you win, you always want more. Kobe and Shaq should have probably won like 8 titles. They won 3. God damn it. At least it's early. Yeah, LeBron and the Heat were saying they were going to win 8 titles. They won 2. The Peyton Manning Colts won 1. Peyton Manning's the greatest quarterback in NFL history, and they still could only win 1. I don't think the AFC was that good during the LOB run. Like, remember, during the LOB run, we were in a division that was absolutely brutal. We had to deal with the 49ers and Harbaugh early on, and then it became, the Bruce Arians Cardinals, the McVay Rams. Like that division was tough as shit. Shit. So yeah, I'm not excited about signing Carlos Hyde, but it seems fine to me. I'm just sick of how many off-season moves that we make where I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like, signing Bruce Irvin is fine. Re-signing Jerron Reed is fine. Drafting some of the guys we drafted is fine, but I'm never like, other than maybe Dunbar and Finney, I was never like, oh yeah, this makes us better. This is a great move. I love it. This is gonna make the team great again. Like, there's nothing wrong with being with good players, guys. There's nothing wrong with being good. The 13 Seahawks had tons of players who were good. You know, Golden Tate was good. Cliff Averill was good. Tony McDaniel was good. Russell Okung was good. But you need to have some greatness backing those guys up, and it's just frustrating to see this team punt on the opportunity to be great. It feels like. And, you know, I can look at the offseason moves this year. Bruce Irvin is good. BJ Finney is good. Benson Mayowa is good, but I just don't see any greatness. So now we're hoping that some of these guys are going to improve to the point where we can call them great. We're hoping that some guys are going to surprise us. Some guys are going to develop. Like, you know, I'll say this. I think Tyler Lockett and Shaquille Griffin were both close to great last year. I think that DK Metcalf and Will Dissly both flashed signs of greatness. I think that we have some guys on this team who were great 2 years ago who could maybe be great again, like Bobby Wagner, Dwayne Brown, Jerron Reed even. But I was hoping we would use this offseason, and I understand that COVID might have changed things. I understand that the virus maybe made us wary about spending money, but I was hoping we would go out there and acquire some blue chip greatness, and we haven't done it. Kyle, I'm interested in AB. I'm interested just because he would be a home run swing, and we might strike out, but at least we're swinging for the fences. But I'm very concerned about what he might do to this team. I'm very concerned about what he's capable of doing in the locker room. I don't know, but I would probably take the chance at this point. The one thing is, if Josh Gordon is back, then we don't really need AB. Well, Emmett, like, if that's the case, my question is, what is the team doing about it? Does the team give a crap? Is the team looking at that and going, oh my god, our best player and our only great player is pissed off. We have to do something. We can't let this happen. Like, I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing anything in this front office that feels like they need to do something different. What happened to Okay, if this dude... Oh, no, 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 no. Fuck! Fuck that turn, dude. Oh my god. To hell with this race, dude. Whoever designed this track needs to have their parents executed. Well, then fire Pete. You gave Wilson $160 million. If he doesn't like Pete, if Pete doesn't like Wilson, you fire Pete right now. Gordon would not slow down Metcalf. Gordon doesn't play enough. Jeez. I don't understand that. All I can say is that this front office desperately needs some happy surprises this season. Like, Rasheem Green needs to break the F out. Rasheem Green needs to become like a 9-10 sack guy. I mean, there are some obvious ones, right? Like Metcalf. Metcalf needs to become a superstar. Jerron Reed needs to be a stud, Pro Bowler again. That kind of stuff. But we need some happy accidents, or else this team is going to be really looking stupid come 2021. And a lot of people are going to lose their job. Kyle, I don't know if the Jets would even do that. Jamal Adams is really good. If I'm the Jets, I would honestly say that you're not getting Jamal Adams unless you give me 3 first-round picks. Now, the Jets are dumb, maybe. Maybe the Jets are stupid enough to give him away for less than that. But if I were the Jets, I would be like, hey, 3 first-round picks or you can beat it. I can't believe the Jets are actually thinking about trading him at all, honestly. Like, that dude is good. Mean. Yeah, Emmett. I mean, the best I can say is maybe COVID screwed our plans up. Maybe we were gonna try to hit some home runs, but then COVID scared us off. Which, you know, I think that's a reasonable way to look at things. I don't think that that's too unrealistic, but it is frustrating right now because I'm looking at this team and I'm like, where is the greatness? I see one great player. I see some guys who might be great, but I don't see us having gone out of the way. Like, you know, it's not even free agency. You could have traded up in the draft to go get somebody who was a blue chip great player. Like, you know, even if we had gotten a guy like Jalen Reagor, who I understand he would have been a rookie in 2020, you wouldn't have necessarily expected him to be an immediate superstar. But that's a guy to me that screams greatness. Possibly very early in his career. Yeah, Popo. I absolutely agree with that. And you got to remember, too, if Pete leaves, his yes men coaches are probably going to leave with him. So if Pete leaves, Norton leaves, Brian Schneider leaves, possibly Schottenheimer, I'm not sure. All these guys who are here because Pete likes them are going to go too, because if Pete... I mean, if you get a new head coach, whoever it might be, if you get a new head coach, if it's Eric, I don't care who it is. It could be Eric Bieniemy, it could be Jeff Fisher, it could be Wade Phillips, it could be Norv Turner, it could be Krusty the Clown. I don't care who the new head coach is. You bring him in, you have to let him pick his staff. If you bring in a new head coach, you can't go, all right, you're the head coach, but you got to take this guy to be your coordinator. You got to let him pick his staff. That's how things are done. That's what Jerry Jones didn't do with Bill Parcells. When Jerry Jones hired Bill Parcells, he was like, all right, you're going to run the show, but you got to take Mike Zimmer as your defensive coordinator. And I don't think Parcells wanted Mike Zimmer. But Jerry was like, nope, he's your defensive coordinator whether you like it or not. And I think that's one of the reasons why that relationship ended so poorly. He did the same. Jerry Jones did the same thing with Wade Phillips. He was like, yeah, Wade, you're the man, but Jason Garrett has to be your offensive coordinator. I'm not going to let you pick your own offensive coordinator. And that ended poorly as well. So whoever you bring in, you got to let them pick their guys. Emmett, I would guess probably GM, and then the GM hires the coach, and then the coach hires the staff. That just makes sense to me, right? What has Shoddy done to deserve being a head coach? I don't see it. I don't hate Schottenheimer, but I don't really think he's good either. Kyle, there are guys in every... There are always guys out there who are waiting for their opportunity to become a head coach. We as fans might not know their names, but they are always out there. You know, it could be a guy who shook hands with Andy Reid one time. It could be a dude who shook hands with Bill Belichick one time, or Sean McVay, or, you know, one of those guys. But those guys, they're always out there. Keegan, I don't think we have very much money left, but it doesn't matter. We can create cap space if we want to. If we want to, we can push some of Wilson's contract back into a later year. We can carve out some money that way. We could do the same thing with Lockett, maybe Wagner. We can cut KJ Wright. We can cut Jacob Hollister. We can cut a whole bunch of guys. We can create cap space if we need cap space, period. Yeah, I'm just kind of afraid that if Schottenheimer got the head coaching gig, you know, I don't know. It kind of makes me think of like the Jason Garrett thing, where Garrett got an 8-game interview in 2010 and he did okay, and the Cowboys decided to keep him around for another 9 years after that, where he proceeded to win nothing. Because the only thing that happened was that the players were so relieved that Wade Phillips was gone, they played hard for 8 games. I don't know if Chris Richard is head coach material, but I like Chris Richard. I would be intrigued by that, but I want an offensive head coach. I want somebody who knows offense. I want somebody who's prepared to turn this team into an offensive juggernaut. Maybe Schottenheimer would be let off the leash, but I mean, okay, Kyle, what in Brian Schottenheimer's history tells you that he would open up the offense without Carroll? Because look at his offenses that he's been a part of in the past. Like, he was on the Jets, he was on the Rams. I didn't see those teams have dominant offenses. I didn't see those teams throwing the ball, 40 times a game. Like, maybe it's possible, but I don't see any evidence of it. Okay, come on. Gotta nail this corner. It's so hard to get right. No. Oh my God, you're trying to bump me off the road again. You're doing it again. Frickin' jackass. Yeah, that's what you get. That's what you get. Yeah, and the thing is, at the beginning of 2018, Baldwin was out, and we had only one good receiver, so passing the ball was really hard. I think if we tried to go back to something like that, we would have a little more success. Alright, we finally got that dumb race over with. I hate that track so much. Keegan, I have mixed feelings about AB. Because if we tried to get him, that would be trying to swing for the fences, but when you swing for the fences, you can also really strike out. Not only could AB not be productive for you, he could ruin your season with some of his BS. But I will say, at this point, I think I would take AB just because the upside is tremendous. However, if Josh Gordon is a possibility, and Emmett, I know you weren't around yesterday, but did you hear about the Josh Gordon stuff? But if Josh Gordon is an option, then I would prefer that, and I think Josh Gordon would have us ready to roll for 2020 on offense. Well, yeah. Why wouldn't he want Seattle? He gets to play with a great quarterback who likes to throw the kinds of passes that Josh Gordon likes to run the routes for. But if Josh Gordon can come back, what happened? You lost. Lost. I'm devastated. I am dubious that the NFL is going to give a guy like Josh Gordon a break because he's done this so many damn times. But if they do, I would take him back, and I would feel like the offense is pretty much ready to go. Now, I am wondering about this defense. I believe that we need to get rid of KJ Wright, get rid of Jacob Hollister, and use that money on a pass rusher. But offensively, I would think that we're pretty well ready to go for 2020 if we can pick up Josh Gordon and he can play 14 games. Paradise, we've talked about AB earlier in this stream. I have mixed feelings, but at this point I would probably just shrug my shoulders and say go for it, because the upside with AB is tremendous. I think I would rather just hope Josh Gordon gets reinstated and go with Josh Gordon, though, because I think that's a little more stable, and I think that's less likely to blow up in our faces. Well, Popo, he was in the Dallas, right? And the Cowboys, they don't have a lot of talent on defense. Like, over the last 2 years he's been on the Cowboys, who are the great players that the Cowboys have had? Like DeMarcus Lawrence, Leighton Vander Esch, Jalen Smith. That's like it. I guess Byron Jones. Like, they haven't really had much talent in Dallas. And they run an antiquated scheme out of the Rod Marinelli book. Like, there are some real holes on that defense in Dallas. Like, they're still starting Jeff Heath at safety, aren't they? How is Jeff Heath still a starter in the NFL? Like, that dude is the definition of replacement level, and he just hangs around forever. But you know what, guys? At least we ain't the Cowboys. At least we're not going to have to give Dak Prescott $200 million. Yeah, Emmett, I don't know. You weren't in the stream yesterday, but have you heard about the Dak Prescott stuff from the last couple of days? Are you kidding me? How many times I gotta teach you this lesson? Also, occasionally I watch undisputed clips on YouTube, and Skip Bayless has turned on Dak Prescott pretty hard. Like, there was an undisputed clip from this morning, I think, where he was saying that Andy Dalton is almost as good as Dak Prescott anyway, so why would they do this? Like, if you watch clips from last season, he was still all over Dak Prescott's nutsack. Yeah, Kyle, Skip said that he thought Dak Prescott was the best quarterback in the league last year. Yeah, Kyle, you don't know that? Skip Bayless said he thought that... Now, I know Skip Bayless is just trolling, but he said he thought Dak was the best QB in the league last year. And now he's like, well, I don't think he's really that much better than Andy Dalton, so we shouldn't... The Cowboys shouldn't give him that money. Skip hates a lot of things. Skip hates a lot of things. It is what it is. And by the way, I've said this before, but the stuff Skip says on TV and on Twitter, he doesn't actually believe any of it. Yeah, but JS, Dak would not be able to ask for $45 million if they had extended him last year. If they extend Dak last year, they could have paid him the same that the Eagles paid Carson Wentz. But instead, they waited a year, and now Dak is like, I'm not giving you a break. That's bad front officing. They decided to kick the can down the road a year on Dak Prescott, and now it's going to cost them an extra $70 million maybe. Like, that's why the Seahawks extended Wilson when he had 1 year left on his deal. That's why the Eagles extended Carson Wentz when he had 2 years left on his deal. If you let these guys get close to free agency, their asking price is only going to go up. And the only front office in the NFL that seems like they're unaware of that is the Cowboys. And I'm kind of loving it right now. I'm kind of loving looking at it because the Cowboys already committed a cardinal sin when they gave Zeke all that money, $90 million. They gave frickin' DeMarcus Lawrence $100 million, and he immediately doesn't really look like he's worth it. They gave, what was the other big contract they gave out? Amari Cooper, $100 million, when he's, I'm sorry, not a $100 million receiver. Popo, trust me, they're going to regret it later. It's mostly because they have... Popo, it's mostly because they're not spending enough money on the other positions of their team. Like, they give all these money to this handful of players, and it leaves them with huge holes on their roster. Like, overpaying for a quarterback who's good is fine. You can work with that. But you cannot commit the cardinal sin of overpaying a running back or maybe even a receiver, because that will come back to bite you. In order for Amari to live up to that contract, he needs to be a top 3 receiver. And I don't see Amari Cooper as a top 3 receiver at all. I see him as maybe being like top 12. Yeah, for the money he generates for the Seahawks, Wilson is honestly underpaid. Now, we can't do anything about that because of the cap, but if you look at the revenue that Wilson generates for the team with his play and his presence, Wilson could easily be making more money. Yeah, Emmett, by the way, I saw Emmett's comment about Bayless, and I get it. I understand. Like, he's still an idiot, and what he's doing is making, you know, sports talk worse. So even if he is just messing around, which he is, it's still bad. Look, I'm not the biggest fan in the world of signing Carlos Hyde. I mean, I think it's probably fine. But you guys need to get off Marshawn Lynch. That dude can only do one thing right now. The only thing Marshawn Lynch can do right now is run over people at the goal line for 1-yard touchdowns. He's old and he's slow. I'm not saying Carlos Hyde is the greatest thing ever. I'm not saying I'm thrilled about giving him $4 million. But at least Carlos Hyde can play full-time running back in the NFL. And I think that's what we feel like we need. So you guys got to jump off the Marshawn Lynch thing. He has very little left. He is a pure power back. We needed somebody who could play 3 downs. We needed somebody who could play in multiple situations. Lynch cannot do that anymore. We needed a full-on, capable running back who could play, 20, who could get up to 20 carries in a game. Because we don't know what we're getting with Carson. We don't know what we're getting with Penny. We had to give ourselves a little bit of insurance. Lynch was not going to cut it. Like last year we got Lynch because we were desperate and we just needed somebody and we had no time. We just had to get the best thing that we could off the couch. But now that we have a full off season, we need to do better than Marshawn Lynch. Yeah, K. Ruiz. I think I don't like giving him $4 million, but the more I think about it, the more I think that it is distinctly possible that he might have to be the featured back at some point next season. So we needed to spend money commensurate to that because Carson has his issues. Penny might not do much of anything this year. and we just need somebody who's capable of taking on a full load, and we know that Carlos Hyde can do it. Yeah, Kyle, I think I'm with you on that. Like, we need to show that we're advancing back towards being one of the best teams in football. If they cannot show me this season that they're advancing towards being a Super Bowl contender, like a full-bore Super Bowl contender, then that's a problem. Like, you can make the argument that we've been steadily improving over the last 3 years, although I don't totally buy it. You can make the argument that what we've done over the last 3 years is taking incremental steps forward. But if we don't continue to take those incremental steps forward, then something's got to change. Yeah, Popo, the reason why we're in the toughest division is because those teams are consistently making big moves to make themselves considerably better, and we're not. So if we're not able to make big moves to keep up with those teams, then that's on this front office. That's their fault. Well, don't run a fake punt. Put the ball in the hands of Russell Wilson and let him convert 4th and 2. Like, I don't need a fake punt. Just frickin' let Wilson convert it. You paid him $35 million a year. I think I like Shanahan more than McVay. I would probably rank Pete above Kingsbury, though, because I still don't know. I mean, Kingsbury's done nothing in the NFL. Let's actually see him have a winning season first. Like, Pete, as much as I think the game is passing Pete by, he still has a decade of good results. I think some people are... okay, what if Russ... Yeah, maybe Emmett. That's not a horrible idea. Yeah, those guys are definitely better than Carroll right now. They don't have the career accolades, they don't have the accomplishments of Carroll, but they're better than him right now. The thing is... Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. The thing is, Emmett, it's kind of too late to get rid of Carroll right now. Like, the time to move on from Carroll would have been at the end of the season. Oh, Pete is definitely going to go to the Hall of Fame. It's not just what he did for the Seahawks, it's what he did at USC too. And Pete might be the greatest defensive back coach in NFL history. But everybody gets old, man. That's really all I can say about it. Everybody gets old. You can run out of gas. Like, we've already had this offseason with Carroll and Schneider calling the shots. you can't really bring in somebody else and be like, okay, pick up the pieces of the offseason we just had, where we didn't really get any big-time players and we got a lot of, okay players and decent players. Like, we can't move on from Carroll now. He's had full control of everything we did this offseason, in the draft, in free agency, everything. So I don't think you can do anything now. Glover, probably Belenemy. I wouldn't mind kicking the tires on Belenemy. 1 second, guys. I'm back. Alright, can you guys hear me? Are we good? Rohawk, I think signing Carlos Hyde is fine. I think it's necessary. I'm not going to say I like it, because it's kind of lose-lose, but I think it's necessary. But I think it's fine. I'm not jumping up and down about it, but he gives us some insurance against Carson, and Penny maybe not having full 2020 seasons. Yeah, Emmett, that I could get behind. Like, Pete could be out next year. I could see Wilson trying to get Pete out for 2021, but I mean, my thing is this. if Jody Allen gets the indication that she has to choose between Wilson and Carroll, she better choose Wilson. If she actually thinks that she should choose Carroll over Wilson, I will burn this thing to the ground. Rohawk, there are a lot of reasons why he might want Pete out. I mean, even when Pete Carroll was a great head coach, and Pete Carroll was a great head coach for a few years, he's always kind of been at the mercy of the talent on the team. Even when we won the Super Bowl because we had the most talent in the NFL and we didn't have that many injuries. And as the years have gone on, we've had injuries, we've lost players, and the team just kind of performs to the level of their talent. And when that talent leaves or gets hurt, it doesn't seem like the team can outstrip the level of their talent. And don't get me wrong, that was great for a while because for a stretch of time, we were the best team in the league at acquiring talent and developing talent. But now that's not the case anymore, so now you get the results that you get. Like from 2010 to 2012, we were the best team in the league at acquiring talent. Rohawk, we have one playoff win in the last 3 years, and it was to an Eagles team that was basically playing their practice squad. Think about it. It's not that great. Most of our playoff success has been concentrated in the early part of this decade when we had the LOB. I think some people lose sight of that because we do have 31 wins over the last 3 years, which is good. Very few teams have won 31 or more games over the last 3 years. But at the end of the day, we have one playoff win over the last 3 years. And it was to a team basically playing their practice squad. Well, Rohawk, that's kind of on Carroll. I mean, Carroll is behind a lot of the decisions this team makes in terms of acquiring players. One of the reasons why the roster is in flux is because Carroll and John together didn't do a great job of building the roster, because you should not have a roster in flux while you have a franchise quarterback in his prime. You need to schedule this stuff out to make sure that you're consistently with a solid roster while your franchise quarterback is ready to kill people. And the other thing you guys got to remember about Pete Carroll is a defensive coach, and the defense was terrible last year. Like, Pete Carroll is not the guy who's architecting this offense and making the offense one of the best in the league. That's completely on Schottenheimer and Wilson. So the defense, being one of the worst in the league, supersedes the fact that the team happens to be winning games anyway. Like, I've said this before, and I'll say it again here. The offense in Seattle, for the most part, is going to take care of itself right now. Because we have a great quarterback, we have good weapons around him, we have, some optimism on this offensive line. The offense is going to take care of itself. So Carroll's job this offseason was to make the defense decent again. And if he fails in that job in 2020, then he's not doing his job. And what do you do to a person who's not doing his job? Yeah, Kyle, I will say this. I think it's within the realm of possibility that Wagner has a bounce back year and plays really well. I don't think he's going to win Defensive Player of the Year. That time has passed, but I don't think Wagner is done. I think Wagner has the opportunity to bounce back, but it's kind of out of his hands almost. Well, Ron, I mean, Carroll almost retired after 2017. He decided not to, but it was apparently a very tough decision. Popo, sure. Sure, why not? Let's open up this offense and let Wilson get his MVP. A lot of people are going to start voting for him because they kind of feel bad that they've never voted for him before when he's been so damn good. Yeah, how have we had Russell Wilson for 8 years? How many division titles does Wilson have? Like, what, is it 4 or 3? Like, that's not good. Glover, I actually think if you gave Wilson Josh Gordon, he might be an MVP favorite. I think Josh Gordon would be enough, man. JS, only if he's cheap, because I think there's pretty reasonable reason to believe that Snacks doesn't really have much left in the tank. Like, the thing is, if we get another receiver, we don't need somebody who's going to catch 10 passes a game. We have guys on this team who are going to be like that, Metcalf and Lockett. We just need a dude to be reliable for the opportunities he gets, and Gordon can be that. Emmett, I have Ritz crackers. Ritz crackers. I had to run upstairs to help my dad with the Bluetooth speaker, so while I was up there, I was like, well, I might as well get food. I mean, I appreciate winning seasons and I appreciate playoff wins. I try to enjoy every step along the way. I try to appreciate every win we get, every good play we get, every playoff appearance we get, but that doesn't mean that it's good enough given the situation the team finds itself in. Like, if we had Josh Allen as our quarterback, if we had, like, Josh Gordon as our QB, or I'm sorry, yeah, Josh Allen, then I would be okay with just making the playoffs or winning one playoff game. But that's not what we have. If we had Sam Darnold at quarterback, I would be happy just to have a winning record. But that's not what's going on with this team right now. If we get Gordon, Cut, or Sua, like David Moore might actually play, or Sua's not going to play, or cut Freddie Swain, or cut, why cut David Moore, a dude who's actually taken snaps before? Like, David Moore has actually made plays for this team in the past. I wouldn't cut David Moore at all. It's not like he's making that much money. Why not cut, God, we have so many receivers on this team who haven't done anything. Yeah, or Luke Wilson. Why not move on from Luke Wilson? There are tons of guys on this team who have really no value that you can move on from. David Moore has a little bit of value. Andrew, because he's fun, and he has a fun little skill set that ultimately I don't think we have any room for on this team right now. Why would we cut Dorsett? He's super cheap. He's making like $900 grand. Like, if Philip Dorsett catches one touchdown this season, he'll have lived up to his contract. Yeah, we can't cut Parkinson. Don't cut Parkinson at all. Cut Luke Wilson, tell him to go sit on the couch, and tell him we will come get you if Disley and Olsen get hurt. I don't love Dorsett, but Dorsett is super cheap, so I don't see any point in cutting him. Well, Nick Vanette's better than Luke Wilson, but it's not like Nick Vanette is anything special, so I don't really care. Okay. We have 17 people in the stream right now. So let me take the temperature of the room on this question. What do you guys think of Jordan Brooks right now? Like, what is your opinion of Jordan Brooks at this time? Because it's been a couple weeks since the draft, and I want to see if opinions on Jordan Brooks have shifted at all and what the general sense is about him. Because I was thinking the last few days about Jordan Brooks, and as I was thinking about that pick we made, and I want to see if you guys agree. In order for Jordan Brooks to make that pick good, I think he's going to have to be better than KJ Wright and have a better career than KJ Wright. I don't know if you guys agree with that or not, but I feel like if Jordan Brooks has the same career in Seattle that KJ Wright did, which is a 10-year starter and one-time Pro Bowler, I actually think the pick would still be bad, or at least not good. Yes, Sam Dog, this is Tokyo. Get out of my way. Yeah, these races, Sam Dog, have all Lamborghinis. Every car in this race is a Lambo. But I was thinking about this the other day, and I was like, if Jordan Brooks is the next KJ Wright, which is to say he's a guy who's solid for a decade, makes one Pro Bowl, and starts for you for some good defenses, and is like maybe your sixth best defensive player, I don't think that's actually good enough for that pick. I was thinking, like, if Jordan Brooks is going to make that pick good, he's going to have to be somewhere between KJ Wright and Lance Briggs. And Lance Briggs was a 7-time Pro Bowler and 1-time All-Pro. I don't need Jordan Brooks to be that, but I think he needs to be definitively more impactful over his career in Seattle than KJ Wright. Popo, that's just spin from the front office. Like, if Jordan Brooks ends up being a Lance Briggs level player, then I'll live, you know, that's good enough. I'll be happy with that pick, but that's kind of the problem with the pick as I think about it. It is so hard to be truly impactful as an outside linebacker. Like, KJ Wright has been a great player for us for the last 10 years. He's done a lot of good stuff. He's been a part of some all-time great defenses, but I truly don't think that that KJ Wright has ever been like a game breaker or game changer. He's been a dude who does his job really well. But I don't think he's the kind of defensive player who is single-handedly flipping games by making big plays. So it's just the degree of difficulty to be an outside linebacker in a 4-3 defense that is a game wrecker is high. Like, how many outside linebackers in the NFL right now are at that level? The list is very short. And that's, as I think about it, that's what annoys me. Like, I don't know if you guys were watching football YouTube videos last year, but when the New York Giants drafted Daniel Jones, there were a whole bunch of Giants fans who threw a fit. Right? You can find it. The Entertainer Talking Sports threw a fit. Bad Dog threw a fit. There were a ton of Giants fans on YouTube who were just livid about drafting Daniel Jones. But a couple weeks later, almost everybody who made a video trashing the Daniel Jones pick said, they made a video basically saying, you know, hey, I had the opportunity to calm down. I like Daniel Jones. I'm okay with the pick. Let's go. I believe in Daniel Jones. Like, a lot of those guys that threw a fit when the pick happened came around very quickly. And I think a big reason why that was is because Daniel Jones is a quarterback. And if Daniel Jones is good, he's a franchise-changing player. He has tremendous ability to impact games as a quarterback. If he's good, your team goes from mediocre to a contender very easily, right? So at the end of the day, if you can talk yourself into Daniel Jones being a good player, you can talk yourself into that pick. You can't do that with Jordan Brooks, because even if Jordan Brooks is good, he's not going to have monster impact on these games. That's what I can't get over. That's why I don't think you can move me off my stance on that pick. Even if Jordan Brooks is good, and I'll even say this, I think Jordan Brooks could easily be a good player in the NFL. I could see him having a good impact in his NFL career. But who cares? He's an outside linebacker. So you can't, so it's not enough to just talk yourself into the player. You then need to look at the bigger picture. And the big picture is you need to be an all-pro to have a big impact on games as an outside linebacker. You need to be Lance Briggs. You need to be Derek Brooks. Like, Derek Brooks was a game changer, but that's how good you have to be to truly change the game from the outside linebacker position. Yeah, if Jordan Brooks was a pass rusher like a TJ Watt or Khalil Mack, then yeah, guys like that have a huge impact on the game. But not Jordan Brooks. Jordan Brooks is a run stuffer. Who cares about run stuffing? Popo, I think LJ Collier is doomed. The only thing I can say for LJ Collier is we need to move that dude to defensive tackle and see what he can do. Might be Kyle. Well, Andrew, is Demario Davis even a game changer? Is Demario Davis the kind of defender who just takes over a game and lifts his team to winning? I'm not convinced. Like, let's say the Seahawks drafted Austin Jackson instead. Let's say our first round pick was the left tackle from USC, Austin Jackson. Now, that's a pick. If we had made that pick, I probably would have been mad because I don't think Austin Jackson is that good. And I know Emmett in chat agrees with me. However, in the case of Austin Jackson, if I could talk myself into him being a good player, then I would come around on the pick. Because then I could say, well, if he's going to be a good left tackle, that's a huge impact on our team. All right, Jackson, go ahead. Right? Because a left tackle has a big impact on your team's ability to win or lose games. So I would have reacted very negatively to the pick, but maybe, and maybe I could have come around to it after thinking about it for a while. I could have been like, well, you know what? I think he can be good. And if he is good, then he's going to have a big impact on this team. I can't do that with Jordan Brooks. Because Jordan Brooks, even if he's good, is not going to be a big-time impact player. Unless he's, like I said, Lance Briggs. The number of 4-3 linebackers in the modern NFL who have big impact on games is small. Like, most of the outside linebackers who have a big impact on games are like Ryan Kerrigan or Khalil Mack or Von Miller back in the day. The only guy I can think of in the NFL right now who really, as a 4-3 outside linebacker, makes a huge impact is the dude on the Colts. What's his name? The outside linebacker on the Colts. Darius Leonard. Like, so in order for that pick to be good, Jordan Brooks needs to be a Darius Leonard level player. And I don't know if that's realistic. That's a lot to ask. Andrew, I am aware of the kind of player that LJ Collier was in college. Yes. I have watched some tape of him from college, but at this point that tape doesn't really matter. Now, Kyle, that's a little better, but even still, he's going to have to be a great middle linebacker to have a big impact on games. Like, yes, Bobby Wagner and Luke Kuechly have had big impact on their team's success. They are game breakers, game changers, but they are future Hall of Famers. So if Jordan Brooks moves to middle linebacker and he's just, good, that's not good enough. Yeah, MLB is an impact position, but in order to make an impact worthy of being a first-round pick, you gotta be great. You gotta be on some, maybe you don't have to be all the way up to Bobby Wagner, but you gotta be a stud. I would have been okay with trading out at 27 at this point. But anyway, do you guys kind of see what I'm saying about Jordan Brooks? The problem with Jordan Brooks is you have to talk yourself into him twice. You can't just... You have to talk yourself into him being good, and then you have to talk yourself into him being elite. Popo, he's overrated right now. Because really, I don't know if you guys saw this back when it happened last year, but when the Giants took Daniel Jones, Giants fans were throwing a fit on YouTube. And then a couple weeks later, they all came back and were like, you know what? I actually kind of like this. Because he's a quarterback. It's easy to talk yourself into that. Yeah, Kyle, at a certain point you can't really do that anymore. Yeah, Andrew, but the thing is, if Daniel Jones ends up being a good quarterback, nobody is going to care that they reached for him, because he's going to be having a big impact on helping the Giants win games. If Jordan Brooks is good, it still matters that the Seahawks reached for him, because good is not going to cut it at that position. It's like, extreme example, what if the Seahawks drafted a kicker in the first round? Like, even if you talk yourself into that kicker being good, you would be like, so what? He's a kicker. Right? Like, because I've seen the comments I've gotten over the last several months, or last couple weeks, saying like, oh, Jordan Brooks is good, don't worry, man, Jordan Brooks is good. That's not the whole picture. If we drafted a kicker in the first round, and I was pissed off, and a bunch of people came up to me and were like, hey man, he's a real good kicker, I'm like, I don't care, he's a kicker. Well, Jackson, I think we're concerned about Carson and Penny's health. Like, what are the most important positions on an NFL field right now? Quarterback is obviously number one. I think pass rusher is number two, be it a defensive end or an outside linebacker, but a pass rusher. Pass rusher X is probably the second most important. Third might be left tackle or right tackle if your quarterback is left-handed. Number 4 might be... What would number 4 be? Maybe cornerback. I would say cornerback more than receiver. But it's actually tight. But in my opinion, you have to move way down the list before you get to outside linebacker. Maybe middle linebacker is pretty decently high up the list. But even like... I don't think it's that high up the list, man. I will be excited to see Collier this year if Collier moves to defensive tackle. The least important positions in the NFL, I mean, other than like special team stuff, also like, you know, right guard. I don't think like right guard is a very important position compared to the rest of the offensive line. But to a certain degree, it depends on how you run your team. Like, what your playbook is like. That can affect things pretty drastically. But generally speaking, QB is the most important position always. Yeah, Popo, and they've been right for the last 7 years. We have not had a good draft since 2012. Our drafts have been trash for the last 7 years, basically. They are right to say that. Yeah, I remember the Titans rumors. The only draft we've had in the last 7 years that was decent was 2015. Jackson, I don't think they do. I think we have a better offensive line than the Texans. But one thing to remember is that the Texans have Deshaun Watson, and it's easier to play running back with a quarterback like Deshaun Watson. Yeah, but 2015 we only got 2 good players, and then we got one guy who was good for like a couple of years. Like Rawls was good for maybe a year's worth of games. You need one more impact player out of your draft class. I'm sorry, but if you're only getting 2 good players out of each draft class, and the other teams in your division are getting 4 good players out of their draft classes, that's a problem. You're going to fall behind. You need to be getting 4 decent players out of every draft class, with one of those players being a super stud, or, you know, at least a stud, or else you're going to fall behind. We have had too many draft classes over the years where we don't get any significant impact players. Like, our best player in the 2013 draft was Luke Wilson. Our best player in the 2014 draft was Paul Richardson. Yeah, Jackson, I heard that too. I don't know what to think of it, honestly. I have mixed feelings. Like in 2012, the Seahawks drafted Russell Wilson, and since then, the only player we've drafted who, in my opinion, shows Hall of Fame potential is DK Metcalf. Maybe Frank Clark, but I think Frank Clark is more of a Pro Bowler, not an All-Pro. Yeah, Andrew, but we still used our first pick that year on Christian Michael, a dummy who never did anything outside of a few games in like 2016. A talented dummy. Shaquem Griffin, I think he has some ability as a pass rusher, but I don't know if there's going to be much room for him on this team. Yeah, Emmett, Watson takes a pounding. The problem with Watson is he takes big hits. Wilson doesn't take big hits. He's gotten pretty good about avoiding those big hits. Fuck you. You go fuck yourself. You're so good. Go fuck you. Shaquem Griffin, I mean, I don't see him ever being any more than a dude who plays maybe 15 snaps a game, but I could see him being a decent edge rusher. And honestly, this year, if we don't sign another pass rusher, we might need him because we do not have very many studs on that defensive edge right now because I mean, I like Darrell Taylor, but there's no way in hell I'm going to expect him to have a big rookie season. Whisper? What are you talking about, Jackson? Most disliked NFL player. Most disliked NFL player might be Julian Edelman. I fucking hate that guy. If Julian Edelman gets into the Hall of Fame, like, give me a break, dude. The dude is not that good. Why not just put Heath Miller in the Hall of Fame while we're at it? Alright, we finished the Lamborghini Cup. Alright. Bugatti VGT. How much is the Bugatti VGT? Popo, Eli's going to get in the Hall of Fame. He's not a good enough player to be worthy of being in the Hall of Fame. We all know why he's going to get in. It's fine. His accomplishments are significant. We know he's not that great of a player, but we all know why he's getting in. Like, there's no point in arguing about it anymore. Jackson, I think he's getting in. Like, Eli Manning's going to get in the Hall of Fame because he was in the right place at the right time a couple times. And good for him. I don't have a problem with it, but it is what it is. Right place, right time. Whoa. Wait a minute, do I already have that? Wait, why the Bugatti VGT only has 641 horsepower? That's not what it said on the... Oh, Jordan, for sure. I don't like the Colts. I think Rivers is washed. I don't really like the way that team is put together. I mean, they drafted Jonathan Taylor. And, you know, good for Eli. I have no beef with him getting in. But under normal circumstances, he should not be getting in. Period. One second, guys. Popo, there's not much to think about those guys. They say a lot of stuff that they know isn't true to get attention and clicks. And that's really all there is to it. You did it. They're entertainers. They don't really know anything about sports. Kellerman maybe, but I don't even think Kellerman does. By the way, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Max Kellerman used to be a rapper. Hold on one second. Hopefully that link worked. I don't know if you guys can see the link I just posted in chat. But you can jump over there for like a minute and I won't be too mad at you. I will say this, I've seen some clips on Undisputed, and I think Shannon Sharp does have moments where he says something that's actually insightful and interesting. I think because Shannon Sharp used to play in the NFL, he does occasionally have some decent insights. Oh shit, damn it. I looked away from the screen. I'm an idiot. Ron, probably Belichick. Yeah, see, I'm barely catching up to first place, even when I'm flying. Like, I'm flying as fast as I can right now, and I'm actually losing ground. Like, honestly, I find Stephen A. Smith's sports takes to be really derivative and uninteresting and dull. Like, I don't think he ever really has anything interesting or illuminating to say. But he's just an entertainer, so it's whatever. Well, the reason Skip Bayless is a homer for Dallas is because there are a lot of Cowboys fans, and talking about the Cowboys all the time gets him clicks. That's really all it is. Shit. See, I think, you know, God, this track, man, I gotta check my car a little bit. Dak. Jackson. Dak is better. Eric, he's definitely going to get a big contract. I don't know which big contract it's going to be, but he's 100% getting a big contract. And the Cowboys have nobody to blame but themselves for this. They should have extended him last year like every other team in the league does. Unless they just don't think he's any good. Popo, I don't follow MMA very much. Or UFC. Whatever it's called. If the Cowboys had extended Dak Prescott last year, they probably could have gotten him for like 35 mil a year. Maybe even like 34 or 33. Yeah, Andrew, it's okay to be in cap hell if you win a Super Bowl along the way, but, well, how many Super Bowls have the Cowboys won lately? That's the thing, they went all in to try to win the Super Bowl last year, and it went poorly. Not a fan of soccer, really. No, Andrew, I don't think it was a fluke. I think they had a lot of players have career years. Like, Nelson Aguilar had a good season the year they won the Super Bowl, but he hasn't really been any good since. So, you know, that's definitely a case where you have a player who just happened to have a career year at the right time. Brandon Graham had a career year, I think. They had a lot of players who just had the year of their life. And it all came together enough for them to win a Super Bowl. Well, the thing is, at a certain point, you're going to start losing that talent. But I don't think the Eagles' Super Bowl win was a fluke at all. Eric, he's going to apply for reinstatement. He's going to apply for reinstatement, and if the league reinstates him, then Josh Gordon will be able to play again in Week 3. I want Flash, if he can be reinstated. Yeah, see, I'm not making any progress on catching up to the leaders. I need to watch, like, a video of how somebody does these races. These races are absolute murder on me. Like, it is so tough to keep up. Yeah, Eric, he would demand very little money, I think. No, Jackson, I think he's done. I think that time is over. See you later, Eric. Probably Andrew. What a weird career Sam Bradford had, though. Best backup quarterback in the NFL right now? Jordan Love, maybe? I don't know. Yeah, TJ, we need to do something to make Russ happy. I don't feel like we've done stuff this offseason to make Wilson happy. So we need to do something to try to make him happy, man. You can't let the star of your franchise get pissed off. Yeah, Robert, the schedule thing is overblown. There's a lot more that goes into your schedule than just first place versus fourth place. TN Avon, he's not going to have 1,000 yards for us. I know he's a good player, but calling him 1,000-yard back is kind of missing the point because he's not going to have 1,000 yards for us. Unless everyone else gets hurt, there's no way he's going to produce to that level here. We're not paying for his production, we're paying for his level of talent. Nick Foles isn't a backup QB right now. Yeah, Kellerman is a very obnoxious liberal. I don't care for his... Whenever he gets political, I tune out. They would have been worse, but I think they would have been okay. Nick Mullins is alright. Look how far back I start, dude. Yeah, TJ, that's a little something. TN Avon, I don't know what to make of the Dunbar situation. I'm very confused, and I kind of just want to turn my brain off about it until there's a resolution. Because all that's going to happen is we're going to get jerked around for a while. AB is one of those guys who's been famous for too long, and some people can't handle being famous. Some people, after a certain amount of time of being famous, just can't handle it anymore. Well, TN Avon, they're addressing two different, it's two very different issues we're trying to address. Probably something like that, Andrew. I don't trust OBJ. It would be fun, though. I think Shannon Sharp occasionally says some good stuff on Undisputed, but most of the time, yeah, he's just fighting with Skip about stupid stuff. And he also says a lot of stupid stuff himself. Well, Wilson wasn't a great quarterback back then. Wilson was a bus driver for a good chunk of his career at the start. Now, he's the only thing on this team that's keeping them afloat. It's different, man. Like, what is Wilson going to do? Throw a fit about not throwing the ball enough when he's a second-year player? No. I don't have an opinion of Chris Carter. I haven't heard enough of his stuff to really formulate an opinion there. Alright, this is the only Ferrari race I haven't been able to win yet. I've been able to finish second. TJ, it doesn't seem like they're going to hold out. Yeah, Andrew, we have not discussed basketball at all tonight. There's nothing to discuss. Nobody's playing any games. Like, nothing's going on. Teams are just sitting around waiting for something to happen. I hate it. God damn it. Yeah, I did hear that too, Andrew. Andrew, I think it will come back in some capacity because the league does not want to have the salary cap go down by that much to the point where, I mean, if they don't have the playoffs, the salary cap is going to get assassinated. I do not watch WWE. Wrestling is not really my thing. I know a little bit about wrestling because I know people who watch it, but I myself do not watch wrestling, no. Jesus, you're just... Ah. Yeah. People are getting antsy, though. I wonder if things are going to change anytime soon. Like, you know, a lot of these people, they've held